Going to see how we can create a nice plastic protector using waste plastic from IKEA for this car, which doesn't really have its own plastic cover because it didn't come with it. So this is something that we use as a reference, and we see which would be the best way to use this plastic, and we draw the projections of this particular box onto it by projecting it on that. So you have the side flaps, 4 of them, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then you have these top and bottom covers which have to be marked onto this particular thing this way. And then you take that and you cut it out and stick it together. It takes a while, but the cuts have to be precise. After some cutting, we get this entire projection out of this piece of waste plastic. So you take that. The next step is folding it right. Got once we removed it out of the existing piece of waste plastic, so we're going to use a scissor to get these cuts right and easily, and then we're going to fold it. I'll just show you what happens next in a bit. Cutting all these out with a scissor, this is what we have. You can see it's clearly all the sides with which you can make the case. Good for now, but whenever you're in doubt, just hold this against the light and you should be good. You'll know where your markings are, and that should help you give you a bend. I've actually bent it, so you can just check as you're doing it to see if all the sides and the corners sit perfectly well. And yeah, it looks pretty okay because your markings were based on the original box. So you're going to bend this and then this. So this is going to go around, but make sure the bends are perfect. I thought I'll just show you quickly how I do the bend. So we've got this, hold it in place. We made sure this is perfectly all right. You can keep a white object behind to get an understanding of where your markings are. And then once you know the marking is perfect, you can go ahead and bend. So I'm going to keep this here, this particular scale, and keep it right at the line, not on it but before it, and I keep it here, and then I go ahead and give it that bend, holding it firmly down. We give it a bend and you're good. So you got the bend perfectly in place. We've got one last bend, this one, which is the flap which sits against it. Again, now that we've got all this, let's hold this way and make sure the box is perfect. I think it's looking pretty good, and our marking here is also all right. We're gonna go ahead and create this last bend which will sit against the box. So I'm gonna keep it here and hold this here. Bending such a small piece is gonna be tough. Would have been easier if you held this down, but again, you could do it in whichever way you feel works for you. So once you bend it, it's better to over bend it a little bit, so when you put it back in the box, it just stays in place. So these things are quite malleable once done, and your box is almost ready. You have these 2 flaps which you have to bend in. We can do that in the last step. So here is the box. It's almost ready. And finally, once the box is ready, we go for these last final flap bends which can be measured on this, and then you could bend it. So this is better if you actually stick this and then you decide where you want the bend to go. Otherwise you could end up having a short bend, which is not very ideal. So let's go ahead and bend this in place, and this has gone in place, and then we could do the last bit a little later. So it's all ready. This needs to be sealed, and once you seal it, the last folds will be these, which we will do a little later. Well, it looks like a pretty decent job. I feel this is a little short, and that's why the markings need to be taken again. So we're not going to bend it until we create the box. So it's done. It's got a little bit of play inside, but it definitely looks beautiful. Some of those marks, the green marks with the marker, can be cleaned off using a thinner or a nail polish remover. But otherwise, I think the total quality, the output of what we've just done is pretty good. It's pretty impressive. I like it. You guys tell me what you think about it. Pretty good. Just these marks need to be cleaned up with nail polish remover, and we'll do that soon.